y'all. Let's do this.
Here we go again.
Okay, Gears of War 3. X being out there. We've got the Season Pass, we've got the DLC. The latest Forces of Nature. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's great. This is our 4th DLC drop, so it's the last one as part of the Season Pass. We're going to release it on March 27th. It's another map pack, similar to Phoenix Rising that we released back in January. This one comes with 5 new maps. These are great because they all have a little bit of a twist. They all come with their own unique weather elements. So one of them has floods, one has rain, snow, one has a tornado that comes through. And similar to Trenches that we ship with the game, the weather is dynamic. It changes over the course of the gameplay. And so what's cool about that is it changes your tactics, right? Your visibility really gets cut down, so you have to maybe switch to a shotgun and roam around the map. And so that's all really cool. We also added 4 new character skins. There's a slew of weapon skins, of course, 250 gamer score points. And I think one of the bigger points is that we're bringing Guardian mode back. So Guardian mode was a mode in Gears 2. We took it out of Gears 3. Tons and tons of people have been asking for it, so we decided to try to make them happy and bring it back, and just like we had it, and I think people will be really excited to play that. So,
well, as you mentioned, Trenches, we know how that sort of dynamic works. But say for the flooding, how does that actually operate on a Gears map?
Yeah, the flooding one is a good example. That works a lot like the map Overpass that shipped with Gears 3. The city actually sinks the same way, and then you see water flowing through the streets. Now it doesn't cut off any areas of the map or anything like that. It just sort of changes the tilts and some of the visibility, which is fun. But then you have a map like Artillery is one of the new ones, and that's the one that has a tornado that comes through, and you'll hear the tornado sirens go off. You'll see the tornado pick up in intensity. The wind starts whipping around. Your visibility really gets cut down. And so that one's a lot of fun because that one's a rather large map too. And so when you kind of cut it down to that, it becomes much more intimate when you can't see very far. And so,
how long do you guys actually spend sort of testing out each map in turn?
That's a great question. We spend a long time. We started work on these 5 maps. I remember first play testing them. Boy, I really got to think. Probably towards the end of November. And that was the very first rough version. Most of the things are just boxes and blocks, so you can get an idea of layout and how it's going to work out. But yeah, they're in development for quite a while and going through lots of little tweaks. And once we get the layout right and we feel pretty good about how everything's set, and then you spend a ton of time on weapon pickups and balance and spawn points and all that kind of stuff. So there's quite a bit, and that's before you give it into testing to find the bugs, right? So there's quite a bit of work that goes into each map.
Now, when you guys first announced Season Pass, you couldn't really talk in detail about what was going. You sort of said, right, we're going to have X number of content pieces, but we're not going to get in detail. Now we're coming to the end of it. Can you sort of tell us how that actually operated, where you came into the Season Pass knowing exactly what you wanted and exactly when that stuff was going to drop, or was it more sort of like a rough sort of ballpark figure?
Yeah, it was more. We had a roadmap, and so we knew we sat down, we looked at the plans, we looked at the capacity of the team, what can we actually build. And sort of map that out, and we knew we could get about four packs done in about 6 months, and that was our target. So then we started to look, okay, how do we break that down? And one of our top goals was to expand every part of the game, right? So we had the Horde Command Pack as our first one that added Horde, and also added some stuff to Beast. And then we did Campaign with Ram's Shadow on the second one, and then the third and the fourth were map packs to extend competitive multiplayer. And so, when you mapped all that out, when we released the game and released Season Pass, we didn't know exactly what was going to be in each one of those packs. We just knew 2 map packs, a campaign pack, and a Horde pack. And so after we released, that's when we really started to look, okay, the Horde pack will be X, Y, and Z. The Ram Shadow, let's figure it out now and write a story in a script and do some recording and then build the game. And then the map packs, it's figuring out which maps you want to build. We've shipped four in Phoenix Rising and 5 here in Forces of Nature. And so, we probably had a pool of around 20, 25 maps that we were testing to find the best ones. And so you build a ton of content and you narrow down to the ones that seem like they're going to work out well.
I was going to say, actually, with the Ram Shadow, that got really, really great feedback. I mean, from people that I talked to loved it because it felt like original Gears, really. It felt like the first Gears. Was that a conscious decision by yourselves? You wanted to, because obviously being a prologue and everything, you wanted to have that Gears of War original feel?
We did, yeah. One of the early decisions was to go to a different character. We didn't want to go Marcus and the crew. And so we started to look at the universe and find a really interesting character. And Barrett kind of came to the surface as someone who was in the comic books. We felt like we could really explore his character in a little bit more detail. And then, of course, in the comic books, he was back closer to E-Day. And so you start with Barrick, and then you go to E-Day, and you start to think of, okay, what other things do we have available to us around that time? And General Rom really surfaced. Really popular guy, but it only appeared in Gears 1, right? And so, it seemed like a real good mix to bring him back. And then when we decided to bring him back, I was like, oh, what if he could play as him, right? Because we had introduced Beast Mode, we kind of knew what it was like to play as the Locust. Like, oh, that'd be so cool if he could play as him. And I remember when I first saw the execution move where, his famous, he picks a guy up by the head and cuts his head off. Pretty violent, but I remember seeing that in gameplay for the first time. I was like, oh, that's so good.
Who came up with the Krill point move? The Finger of Doom. That was just such an awesome, kick-ass move.
I don't know if it was any one person, but yeah, that one's really cool. One of my favorite things actually we did was an avatar item with the Krill shield. And the avatar got points and he's all cartoony. But yeah, that was, he couldn't just have a sword and be a melee guy. We had to have some range attack as well, and so that was a real good way to come up with a solution to make sure he had some range attack.
Now, coming to the end of Season Pass, are you guys just taking it easy now, feet up, or is there a plan for, Season Pass 2, or what's the idea?
Yeah, we're still honestly trying to figure out. Feet are definitely not up on the desk. We're working hard on lots of stuff, and it's determining where do we go and what's the best way to put it out there and what do we want to do, and so we're looking at lots of different options and trying to figure out what the best way to go is. So as soon as we have something, we'll be sure to be talking about it. But
well, I definitely look forward to seeing it. But as for now, thank you very much indeed for your time. Looking forward to playing it. Cheers.